Hey, what it do? Lord Pro Crew, MMA Guru, AML. Listen, today we got announced that UFC 334 and UFC 335 in November in New York City and UFC 335 in Las Vegas in December. And today I will be saying the fights to make of the main and co-main of these cards. So, for UFC 334 in the MSG, November 14th, the main event should be the rematch everyone's been asking for. Tom Aspinall versus Cyril Gane. Yeah, this has to happen as soon as possible, and to put this in one of the greatest arenas of all time is a lead up to the name, you know. Of course, Aspinall coming off that eye injury, hasn't fought in like 11 months, and you know, I think Cyril Gane, of course, coming off that win against Alex Pereira, getting the interim belt, and yeah, getting this rematch done and see who is the best heavyweight right now. And yeah, we'll see. I think this is a good main event to put it in the MSG, you know, because the MSG is considered one of the greatest arenas of all time. I need to put a fight of this caliber like this, Aspinall Gane too, you know. You think the press conference will be insane? Aspinall will be talking shit to Gane. You know, he's going to be calling him a cheater, say the stuff that he did against Aspinall and what Gane did against Pereira, you know. And yeah, I think this should be a main event. Of course, it's in a good time frame, you know. Of course, Gane fought like 2, 3, 4 months ago. I'm sure he wants to come back. You know, Aspinall's returned to training after his eye injury. So yeah, I think you should make this fight for the main event of UFC 334, and I think it logically makes sense. So yeah, and it makes sense because also I think the co-main event should be Alex Pereira versus Josh Hokett. Yeah, honestly, I think this fight needs to happen as well. They both have beef. You know, of course, Pereira is probably gonna stay at heavyweight. You know, I don't think he's gonna go back down to light heavyweight ever again. And you know, a good matchup for him at heavyweight would be Josh Hokett. Now, of course, not only does this make sense in the rankings, you know, I think Pereira's 4th and Hokett's like 5th or 6th. And yeah, it's the trash talk, the beef. You know, of course, we've seen at the UFC Freedom 250 week in the White House, Josh Hokett was trash talking Alex Pereira in their press conferences, talking bad about his mother, you know, talking shit about him and his whatever. So yeah, I think this should be next in the co-main event. Make it 5 rounds and say it's really good. Say if you do have Aspinall Gane as the main event, have Pereira Hokett as the co-main event. You know, double heavyweight headliners. And yeah, I think it'd be really good. You know, I think Pereira Hokett should be next because Hokett, I think, needs someone in the top 5, and Pereira needs a big name matchup. You know, I thought people are saying he should fight Pavlovich Pereira, but like, I don't think Pavlovich gonna come back anytime soon. Like, Volkov's already booked. Pavlovich would make no sense, and it's Hokett. You know, imagine the press conference between Pereira and Hokett. You know, Hokett going back at Pereira. You know, Pereira will say some stuff in Brazilian or Portuguese, whatever. So yeah, I think this should be next, and whoever can win this can get a title shot against Aspinall versus Gane too. So yeah, I think this should be the co-main event of November 14th in the MSG. And then for UFC 335, December 12th, T-Mobile Arena, Las Vegas, the main event should be Sean Strickland versus Nastin Imavov 2. Yeah, I think it's a good time for him. It makes sense. It needs to happen. I don't think the UFC should give Chimaev a rematch. I know that would be the most hyped matchup, you know, a rematch, but Chimaev had no title defenses, and you know, he was out for a year. You know, after his Driggers fight, he didn't fight till the May of the next year, which is like 10, 9 months, 12, 11 months. So yeah, I think that should be disregarded. And I think Imavov is next. Of course, he's a number 3 contender. He deserves it. He's on like a 5-fight winning streak, beating guys like Israel Adesanya, Kai Barallo, Brendan Allen. Yeah, I think Imavov should be next for the title, and I think it makes sense to do in December. Of course, Strickland just fought in May, but I think there's all like what May, June, July, August, September, October, November. So that's like 7 months. I think that should be a good time for Strickland to come back, go into a training camp, and prepare to fight Nastin Imavov. And yeah, I think this should be I think Strickland should fight Imavov instead of Chimaev. I think Chimaev needs to get one more win before a title shot. But yeah, I think Strickland vs Imavov 2 should happen in UFC 335. And then the co-main event of UFC 335 should be. Now, realistically, there's not really any good matchups, but I'm gonna put Kayla Harrison vs Amanda Nunes. Of course, they were supposed to fight in January at UFC 324. Of course, but Kayla Harrison pulled out with a neck injury, and yeah, I think this would be a good time for him to make that fight now. Of course, I think Kayla's back in training. Now, of course, Nunes is one of the greatest, if not the greatest, women's fighter of all time. And yeah, I think this should be next. I think it would make sense. It's a good time frame. It will be a good co-main event. And I don't really want to see this fight on the UFC 332 card. UFC 332 hasn't been announced for some reason. They announced UFC 333 before UFC 332, which is weird. But yeah, I think Kayla Harrison, Amanda Nunes should be for the co-main event. Of course, it's probably one of the biggest women's fights in MMA history. And of course, Kayla Harrison, the bantamweight champion, and Amanda Nunes coming off retirement. They hasn't fought in like 3 years. And yeah, I think she should fight Kayla Harrison as soon as possible in December. And yeah, I think they'll make that. So I think that's the first UFC should make at UFC 334 and UFC 335. Please like and subscribe. And on that, I will see you in the next video. Toodle pip.